All right. It's been hard getting this started today. Kids, we've talked about a lot of things so far. We've talked about, the upcoming guys in the future. We've talked about the guys that sit and wait until their cards are about right the value. We've talked about some of the new sets coming out. And now the season is over. It's going to go into the playoffs, which is going to be a whole different animal for us. But right now the season is over. And you're going to be talking about Rookie of the Year soon. You're going to be talking about Cy Young soon, and those cards to invest in. I'm going to leave that alone right now to the side, and let's talk about who to invest in and long term or not. Should I say long term? Or should I say past tense is what I'm going to say. I've been listening to Gary Vee. I'm sure a lot of you probably already have heard of Gary Vee, and he talks a lot about the old guys. He doesn't want anything to do with Jason Dominguez, Tatis. Those are the gambles to him. He wants the sure thing, the mutual funds. I call them the mutual funds. Who are the mutual funds? And today I think it's a good idea to talk about all those guys. And I think we should start with the 1983 set. The reason why I want to start with the 1983 set is for two reasons. It's pretty much right before or right at the point where Topps started making massive amounts of sets. In 1984 is when Topps introduced the Tiffany cards, and this was pretty much the last set made before the Tiffany. So I'm showing you Darryl Strawberry, Ryne Sandberg. Strawberry's in the traded set, Ryne Sandberg's in the base set. The base set you can actually buy off eBay for about $75. You got Tony Gwynn, Ryne Sandberg, Darryl Strawberry, and Wade Boggs. Ryne Sandberg being the only one in the traded series. So together you can get both of them for about $125 if you're really looking hard. If you're just buying as you see buy it now, maybe $150. And personally, because there's three major rookies from this set right here, if you get a nice complete set from somebody who was collecting back in the day, you could grade them and usually get pretty high ratings. This came back as an 8.5, but my original Darryl Strawberry actually came back as like a 9.5. So I sold my original Darryl Strawberry for a crap ton and just bought one. I don't need a 10. I don't know who needs a 10. I don't need a 10. The next series to go to was the Topps 1982 traded set. The base set's okay because it also has Cal Ripken Jr.'s rookie card, but this is the rookie card people are really looking for. It's a base Topps traded set, and honestly, there is a lot of these cards out there, but Cal Ripken is sort of the Iron Man for a reason. I'm learning that now as I watch baseball more and more, that the man just never called off. I have the 1981 rookie card here from Fernando Valenzuela. You can actually get this card for probably like $5. This is the Topps base card, I believe. No, this is the Topps traded card. You see it's number 850 there. I would get the Topps traded version of that then. Very cheap card to get. So, if you're looking to expand your collection and get guys that are safe mutual fund bets, that you can't go cheaper than that card right there. He's actually, I think I even have his starting lineup figure. He was a daggone good pitcher, but nobody seems to care about him anymore. This guy does not seem to stop growing in popularity. The 1980 set is probably just as many were made probably as the 1982 complete set, but it seems like this set just has a lot more value. And Rickey Henderson, I guess, is never going to happen again with this base stealing that he had. So that base set goes for about $110. You can usually see a lot of his cards pop up on eBay for about $25 a piece, so that's not bad. This card was really off-centering. I got this graded before I realized how off-centering could really hurt the value of a card. Going back to 1979, Ozzie Smith. This is one of the good things. Pretty much everything before 1983, before that Topps traded Darryl Strawberry, everything's in the base set. So you don't have to look through 20 different sets to find the card that everybody valued. You already know which one it was. You already know it was Topps, and you already know it was in the base set. So this is Ozzie Smith right here. We all know who he is. His batting average was not as well as we would have liked it to be, but it is what it is. Then you go down to 1978, and you got Paul Molitor. He's another guy to collect. Both Ozzie Smith is getting a little bit more expensive right now, but this card right here you can usually get for about $10-15 if you're looking for the right guy. And that actually came out lower grade than I thought it would, but maybe I'll upgrade that eventually. And the same thing goes with this Eddie Murray here. He's 1978 as well. So, he fetches a good penny. This card right here is off-centered, but has good sharp corners, so really, I guess the off-centering is what broke that value down. And this card you could also get cheap once you go down to 1977. You know, I would say a lot of this card exists too. Andre Dawson, that's who that guy is there. If you're trying to figure out who to collect, you know, he's definitely somebody to put in your collection if you're trying to expand your collection into the vintage area. And then when we start going past 1977, we start getting into an era where it's going to be a lot more expensive. 1976 down, I would say 1972 to 1976 is kind of like its own thing. 77 to 82 is its own thing. 83, and then 84 to 89 is its own thing. So this is Dennis Eckersley. If you know who I'm talking about, this guy could pitch like a crazy man. That card you can usually get pretty cheap if you look right for it. People, I would say probably $35 right now, depending. Carlton Fisk. This card, I need to get a better quality of it. Carlton Fisk, I think, is going to go up a lot more money here in the near future. Just because a lot of people know his name, and that card's a beautiful card. Then we luckily, there is some guys here that, you know, are not exactly big high dollar guys, but their cards will go up in value. I'm talking about, you know, Thurman Munson's being one of them. Rollie Fingers being another, you know. These guys, 1969 Rollie Fingers is a pretty cool card, but, you know, it's probably only like $50 right now. And if Gary Vee is right, you know, he's talking about going up 3 times that in value. Obviously, there's Reggie Jackson. Everybody's going to be getting his card. That's a beautiful card, by the way. Look at the back. I just love that card. And that's when they had some really nice color to these backs. I have the Mike Schmidt, but I don't have it here right now. The next one is Nolan Ryan. You know, a lot of people my age know Nolan Ryan because the man played for like 50 years. This card, believe it or not, is actually cheaper than Tom Seaver. You know what I mean? And by the way, this guy just passed away, so God knows this card's going up in value right now by a whole lot. Pretty dangerous stuff. So if you're going to be looking for Tom Seaver right now, I would hold off and maybe invest in somebody else like Carew. You know, also a great player to invest in right there. Or Nolan Ryan, because Nolan Ryan's still alive. You know, back in the day, it was, you know, people used to say Tom Seaver or Jim Palmer. You know, Jim Palmer, a card actually also fairly cheap right now. Probably less than $100 you'd have to spend on this thing. And that's a 1966 card, and everybody's heard of him. That card's bound to go up a lot in value. After him, you know, basically goes to this card right here, your Pete Rose. He's too expensive. God knows what's going to happen with that. You know, if he ever gets in the Hall of Fame or if he dies, either one of those two things that may happen, that card's just going to explode. I think everybody should be buying more of those cards right now. Lou Brock just died as well. He's 1962, and this is a pretty cool looking card in my opinion. Has a nice back to it. So I think his card's probably exploding right now. But another guy to get that you could probably get it for a good value is Carl Yastrzemski, and this card is a sexy card. I mean, so, you know, try to skip the guys right now that are going to blow up in prices like Lou Brock and Tom Seaver, and go for the guys that are going to be a slow and steady pace like Carl Yastrzemski and Nolan Ryan, so long as these guys are alive. Roger Maris is another one that's not too bad. If you know who he is, I like to think that you do. 1958. Keep going beyond that. This guy is a little expensive to get. It's probably in a few $100 range, like $300 or $400 if you're really looking. Brooks Robinson, awesome card. Then this one's a pretty cheap one. This one, you know, Luis Aparicio, pretty good player, Hall of Famer, but goes unnoticed. And so if these guys are going to be getting back into baseball cards like Gary Vee says, this is one I would target just because you could probably buy it for like $60 right now or less for, you know, a decent five card, you know, 5 out of 10 card. And, you know, there's not a lot of cards out there of it. So it's a pretty rare card in the first place. And if people are really going to be going after this stuff, that's something to get. And the 1955 set is probably one of the most popular sets because of Sandy Koufax. and Roberto Clemente. I do not have the Roberto Clemente. I can't afford the Roberto Clemente right now. I would love to have it. This card is going to be a lot of money eventually, I think. And obviously the Roberto Clemente is just a player that every baseball fan knows. He had 3,000 hits, died on a plane crash. Too good of a story for a lot of people, and they end up becoming fans of Roberto. So, basically that 1975 range to 1950s range, I think is the biggest one that's going to be jumping up right now in prices, because those players are still alive for the most part, and people that are like 55 years old, and they remember a lot of those guys even from their youth. Back that 1954 has two cards in that set that are pretty good. There's Kaline and Ernie Banks. I bought Kaline because he's the cheaper guy to buy. Ernie Banks is a little too expensive for me at the moment. Notice these cards are actually a little bit bigger than your typical 3.5 by card, so it's actually taller, but not cheap cards. Ernie Banks is probably at least $1,000 for a 5. This was like $500, and I hope to get a 5 out of it. And then you go to 1953, and this is one of my favorite sets, is the Topps Living set that they make right now. And look, it looks literally just like the Topps Living set. The difference here is this is obviously an original James Gilliam. You can get his card for about $100, $150 right now. And it's actually a beautiful card, obviously, just like the Living set. And there's also Satchel Paige from that year, which was his first Topps card. Obviously, his rookie year was way before that, and his Bowman rookie was like in 1947. But the Satchel Paige Topps card, I think that's one that people are going to be really going after, because his story is one of the most amazing that's ever had. Obviously, with the whole entire Negro League becoming, one of the first guys in there outside Jackie Robinson. I didn't go over a few guys. I skipped a few guys. I skipped Bob Gibson, Robin Yount. Doesn't matter. Joe Torre. But let's talk a little bit more. We talked about, what the heck did we talk about? We talked about 1983 all the way through 1953 today. And I'm just basically showing you the guys that I would get mutual funds in. Now, the guys that I would get mutual funds in from 1984 and up, I'd start with this card right here. It's not Topps. Notice it's Fleer. This is the first card you're going to get in the new age that is not Topps. Roger Clemens. Matter of fact, I would get the whole entire Fleer traded, updated set, whatever they call it. Because it's not just Roger Clemens in there, it's a few of the guys. And this set actually goes for about $500 right now. It was going for about $300 when I bought it. But it's just going to keep going up in value. And especially if they ever let Roger Clemens into the Hall of Fame. So that's the thing about the 80s sets is, all the drugs that they were doing with the steroids, who gets into the Hall of Fame, who doesn't. Next I want to talk about Tiffany sets. You're going to have 1985. Who are you going to have? Oh, crap. Who do you have in 1985? I don't think you have anybody. You have Roger Clemens in 84. Nothing really great in 1985. You go to 86 and you have a few guys. You have Barry Bonds. And this is the Tiffany version. If you don't know what the Tiffany is, basically these sets were very limited run, short print sets. And they have a white card stocking instead of the typical brown card stocking. And I use these basically from 84, this was the first one back in 84, up to like 92 or something like that. And then, you go to 87, and it was a Greg Maddux card. I don't have that here right now. 88 was Tom Glavine. 89 was Ken Griffey Jr. Got all those as well. But Frank Thomas would have been 1990, as well as Sammy Sosa. And the good thing here is that, this guy at least will make it to the HOF. This guy probably won't. We'll see how they deal with that. But he was an amazing hitter. So these guys were all great players, but the steroids era is really some bad on the sport. But at the same time, these are very limited cards, and even though that they may or may not make the Hall of Fame, you're talking about people in my age and 10 years older are all going to be going for these cards. They're going to be going up big time in value. So the 1978 or 1982 and all the way to 1953, to me those are your mutual fund investments with 10 to 15% ups over the next few years. I think these guys are going to go up in value a lot in the next few years. Even this guy right here may go value up in a lot. And you say, why Billy Ripken? And the reason why is because, you know, what it says there on this bat. I won't say what it says, but there's several different versions of this card. And as a matter of fact, I'll dive a little bit more into it. This set completely is actually a great set to buy. And what I mean by that is you don't buy the complete set from somebody that was made by Fleer. You don't buy the Fleer 1989 set that came out by Fleer. You buy the hand collated set by somebody selling it on Craigslist, because there's a good chance if they hand collated the set, there's a good chance they had this card, and a good chance they had the Randy Johnson rookie card in there as well, where it had the background in there showing Marlboro, the cigarette company. And they tried to wipe that out, and because of that, they have 2 cards in that set that are errors, basically, and they all fetch a pretty penny. So you have your 84 Fleer, and then you have your 80 anything else pretty much tops Tiffany up till 1992, and then you have this Fleer right here. Other than that, I'm not looking for Don Russ in those years. I'm not looking for pretty much anything else. Now, do I collect them? Yeah, I just bought the 1986 Fleer Barry Bonds. $5. You know what I mean? I'd rather have, if you're, this one here though, what is that? It's like 150, something like that. I don't even know. I haven't looked at it in a few years, but that card's going up. Probably not as fast as the Michael Jordan cards are going up, but it's going up. All right, that's pretty much the show today. I just wanted to show the complete set here. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm collecting every major rookie from beginning of now till the beginning of time, and because I think, like Gary Vee says, I think these cards are going up in value. I think a lot of people are going to be doing similar things to me right now, which is basically trying to get your hands on the guys before they go way up in value. This guy right here, I haven't even taken him out of the tape yet. Man, Bob Gibson. Anyway, thanks a lot.